Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Julie and this is SMI Hub, where I talk about everything studying and immigrating to Canada. So today I'll be talking about something in line with what I talked about last week, and that's bringing your family with you to Canada. Last week I talked about bringing your spouse with you to Canada, and this week I'm talking about bringing your children. And I'm just going to link that video about how to bring your spouse in the description box below. So be sure to watch that first before watching this. Okay, so on to what I want to talk about today. So if you want to bring your children to Canada, you have to first decide what exactly you're going to apply for them. And this is based on their age. At 4 years old, they start school, and well, that's a story for another day. But I just want to say that they actually don't even start the real school at 4 years old. So they start pre-kindergarten at that age, but they start school by 4. So if your child is less than 4 years old, you need to apply for a visitor visa. And if your child is older than 4 years, then you need to apply for a study permit. There are two different types of application. And that's why I think that that's the very first thing you need to get right. Is my child up to the school age? If so, you need to apply for a study permit. Okay, so after figuring out if you need to apply for a study or visit, and then you now apply, right? So I'm first going to talk about applying for a study permit for a minor. So it's a little bit different from applying for like yourself, because of course you're not a minor, you're over the age of 18. So I'll say they're just like a few more things you need to add. So it's just like applying for a regular study permit, in that you have to show funds, you have to show proof of funds. So I made a video about how to fill your study permit application form. I'm also going to link that in the description box. And there is a section in there that talks about the fund available for my stay. So in that field that talks about fund available for my stay, you want to put the total amount you have for your children. So according to the IRCC stipulation, you need to show up to 3,000 Canadian dollars for each child. So if you have 2 children, you need to show up to 6,000 Canadian dollars. It can be more, but definitely not less. So in that field, if you have like $10,000 strictly for the children, you can write it in there. Okay, and I think it's even safer to just write the whole amount you will be presenting in that section. So that will be the same value with what you will write in your study permit application, or what your husband will write in his open work permit application, or your wife. Okay, so after you have made sure you present your, just make sure you present your proof of fund, because even after filling the application form, you need to attach the proof. So all the things that you use for your own application, remember most people do this as a family application. So they either like do it as a family where they apply for themselves, that's the student, their spouse and the children, or they do it where they apply for their spouse and the children together. So if it's just a few people that apply for the children, just very few that apply for the children separately. So if you are, for instance, applying for your spouse and children together, be sure to attach the proof of fund for that application in the application. And then you also need to include the children's report card. So you need to, the report card just shows how far they've gone in your home country, the class they are, and it just gives the visa officer, the full picture that your child is coming to study, and that you have everything available for them to transition into their new class in Canada. So don't forget to include their report card. Okay, some people also include their immunization report, but I do not think that is necessary. But one thing I want you to know is that you will need the immunization record when you come to Canada. So make sure that you have the original record of your children when you are traveling, because when you get here, they are not going to let your children go to school without you presenting that record. And they need to, if there is need to update it by giving your child the vaccine that he or she does not yet have, it will be easy to just retrieve the information of what the child has had already and then transfer it to the new Ontario or Alberta or whatever province you are going to, the new health card. Okay, immunization card. So that is very important. Also, you need to include the children's birth certificate. These are very important elements of your application. I mean, this is the proof that you have that child and you're not running away with somebody else's child. Also, if you are separated from your spouse, you need to include a custody letter from your spouse that shows that the spouse is giving you all the full rights to have that child in your custody. This is very important for those that are divorced or separated. You need to get a letter from your spouse. If possible, get your spouse's data page attached to your application as well. So if you are still married, then you don't need that, you know, because your spouse might sign on the application form. But if you feel like you are not applying with your spouse yet, if you are just applying for the children alone and your spouse will still be in your home country, in that case you need a letter from your spouse relinquishing all rights to take that child abroad. Please be very careful with all these document and make sure that you include it in your application. So in addition to that, you just attach all other things that are relevant to a study permit application, just like you're doing yours, right? So the one thing I just want to say is that you do not need acceptance letter from a school in Canada. That's for your children. Now you don't need acceptance letter from a high school or an elementary school or whatever the case may be. You don't. All you need to show is all these things I've talked about, your proof of fund, and you know, all the regular things that you put in your application, like home tie, you know, especially if you're applying for your spouse as well. Don't forget to check out that video on how to apply for your spouse. There I detailed all the other things you need to accompany this application. And now I'm going to also talk about the form. So don't forget to fill the study permit form for your child, and this is different from your own study permit form. Okay, and make sure you put all information, input all information correctly. And then I'm going to move to those of you guys that will need to apply for a visitor visa. For when I was coming, my child was just about 18 months, and so I just applied. We applied for the child for a visitor visa for her, and we just put in the field of the form where they say put in the total amount you have for your trip or for your stay. I put in the whole amount. I mean, all the proof, all the funds we had, we put the amount there. Okay, and for that visitor visa, it's just very straightforward. You fill the visitor visa form correctly for your child, and then in the purpose of visit, remember to write to accompany mommy and daddy or something like that, to accompany parents for studying or working in Canada. So just make sure to show that the child is accompanying you, because the child is under your care or under your word. Okay, you need to put is the proof of funds. Don't forget to state it clearly in your statement of purpose if you have a spouse applying with your child, that you have fund enough as required by the IRCC to cover your stay until your husband or your wife gets a job. Okay, that's very important. And you also need to include the child's birth certificate as well. As I said, this is the proof that you are actually the parent. So that you're actually the parent of the child. So make sure you include the child birth certificate and any other thing that ties you with the child. So in my case, I even included her dedication, church dedication certificate, and you know, and I also put some pictures. Some people say you don't need to put pictures, but I just feel like, why not? Like with the IRCC, too much information can never be the case, right? So anything that you think might defend your application and might show that your relationship is genuine, your family is genuine, please put it inside. Okay, and basically the visit visa for your minor child is, all the documents you need is the same as the study permit for your minor child. So I've said all of that before, and it's just the same. And also for the visit visa, don't forget to take your immunization report for your child along when traveling to Canada. And you don't need report card for your child for a visit visa. Obviously, your child has not even started schooling. For you guys that maybe your child has started schooling in your home country at the age of maybe 2 or 3, there are some countries where the children start schooling as early as 2 years old, or even some as early as 18 months. You actually do not need a report card to include in that visa application, because it's a visit visa. It's not a study permit. The child is just a visitor. It's going to be on the visitor status, so it's not relevant. Okay, and then I just want to say some other things. If you are one of those people that your child is almost turning 4, so your child is not yet 4 but is likely going to turn 4 within the year you arrive in Canada. First, I want you to know that when your child gets here with a visit visa, your child will be able to study without you having to apply for a study permit. I mean, that's when you are here in Canada. So if you successfully applied and you successfully got your visit visa for your child, and you and your family moved to Canada, and then in the course of time within that year, while the visit visa is still valid, your child became eligible for school in September, you don't have to reapply for a study permit at that point. Canada allows children to go to school with a visit visa as long as either the parent is studying or working. So if you are studying in Canada as a parent and your spouse is working, your child will be allowed to study on a visit visa. And then another thing I want to say is that when you are extending your permit, so if your study permit is about to expire and you have a 4-year, you're on a 4-year program or a 3-year program or a 2-year program, you know, you need to renew it, right? So when you are applying to renew your study permit, you can also apply to get a visitor record for your child. So a visitor record is different from a visit visa. With a visit visa is just like a visa on your passport. It's a stamp, right? It's just like your temporary resident visa that was stamped on your passport when you entered Canada. You know, that is different from your study permit, the one you get at the border. So a visitor record is kind of like a permit, just like your study permit, that is given to people that extend their visit visa within Canada. So if your child has been staying for a year on a visit visa and then you want to extend your study permit, you can decide to apply for a visitor record for your child, and that's just going to be like a paper permit that the child will have, a visitor record. So that's the difference between a visit visa or a visitor record, and your child can go to school with that. Okay, so that is all I want to talk about today. Remember, in recap, remember that you need to either apply for a study permit or a visitor or a visit visa or visitor visa, whatever it's called, depending on the age of your children. If your child is less than 4 years old, you need to apply for a visit visa, and if your child is older than 4 years old, you need to apply for the study permit. I really hope you found this video very informative. For more videos like this, stick around, subscribe, it's free, give us a thumbs up, and I promise you guys it will be always worth your while. Till the next time on this channel, take care guys, bye.